How's it going, folks?
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to NUFC Talk TV. Apologies for being late. I fell asleep. I couldn't wake up. And I heard my alarm going off and off, and I was like, "That's awful early, man." I just kept sleeping.
Well,
Uh,
there's that one out the window, then, isn't it? I've just put on the forum tech problems. I
uh,
didn't explain that the tech problems were you being asleep.
no, that is a big problem. But anyways, welcome to NUFC Talk TV, fellas and lasses. Well, good morning. How's it going?
Good
Yeah,
morning.
all good.
Yeah, that's good. Mighty wins. Last show for the weekend.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mighty Wins, the only person in the world that goes to another country to get cigarettes. Uh, but this is crazy, man. Don't do it. Don't ever get to that level, kids. Don't ever get to that level. Just say no to it. Say no. yeah,
By the way, I'm going to three countries.
yeah.
Yeah.
Three countries in the space of 24 hours.
Yeah.
I just put it in.
Ireland, Northern Ireland, and Scotland. Three capitals.
All
Oh,
right.
for that.
All right. And so press conference against Man City. This should be a good one to know injuries, to know well, mainly injuries, I would say.
Yeah,
Um,
which of course he's going to tell us, isn't
No.
he?
well,
He's going to leave you open, mate. He's not going to
Yeah,
give anything
absolutely.
to Man City whatsoever.
Yeah, I was looking at that in the forum this morning. What was it? Craft starting tomorrow. How do you know? Football Insider. Jamie
Yeah.
saying if Football Insider put a post up saying it's raining, I'd check for me sunglasses.
there's only yeah, there's only a few possibilities anyway. Um, I mean, he might tell us.
Well, there's a
Tell us.
lot of. I mean, how bad is Dan? But I haven't seen anything to say how bad Dan Burns' injury is.
The thing is,
Put it this way: if
not
Eddie
even,
says he's definitely not playing tomorrow, then we know it's pretty bad.
here's the thing though. It's not even about how bad. With a groin injury, it's just painful, man. Like it doesn't have to be extremely bad. So you can hardly mask that. Um, so that's why I don't expect them on there. But um, do you think you'll be asked about maybe the rumors about kind of Wilson not being signed? Maybe, but he's always said that he is when fit he is a part of his plan. So I don't think he'll give us anything there. But I think it'll be most of our injuries. Botman, um, maybe Gordon, Although Craig Hoban said that he thinks he knows Gordon will start, but he certainly should be somebody he updates us on. Any other injuries out there? Well, Joe Linton, but I mean, actually, yeah, I mean, we actually haven't really, other than him saying we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer for him. We don't really know what's going on with Joe Linton.
Well, I did. Yeah, did we not officially
Right.
told end of March?
Well, that's the rumor mill, isn't it? I mean,
Was
they reckon he's still. They said 2 to 4 weeks, and if they say 2 to 4 weeks, it's going to be the latter.
mm,
So they reckon it's going to be sometime in March before he's back. I would imagine. Harvey Barnes is still 2 weeks. We know that, and that's why I said, you look come the cup final. We should have quite a strong squad to pick from.
hmm
Players that can come in and out of the side the game before to give players a rest, and I think that's what Eddie has to look at now. We've got some.
really?
We're quite light in certain areas, but nowhere else. What did you
Yeah.
say, Wood?
I said, really?
What
Looking at
really?
resting players before the final?
Well,
I
if you've
think
got players back, you've got to look at it from 2 points. One, you need all of your players to be match sharp, so you've got to give them minutes. The other thing is you've got to also think about you know, what are we going to get or achieve? It's that risk and reward. Because if you don't play them and keep them on the sidelines and expect them to perform in a final, if they make an appearance, then they're not match sharp. And
I,
that's what I said.
I just think that it should be automatic to expect players to play a game a week.
Well,
But,
yeah,
you know, we're hoping to get into Europe again.
Yeah, but
And
that's I agree with you, Wayne. But is the special occasion a final? I mean, that's what we're
I
getting at.
don't care.
Well, you don't care, but I mean, we gotta win it. You're fine with losing it. That's perfectly fine. You gave up your tickets, so because you don't care about the final. We made it to the final, so that's your tournament. You won it. But other fans like us care about the final, so you might need to make adjustments for that game because that is the game. There's no other game. That is the game. So you might, we might, we might
First of all, let's get this right.
have.
I didn't
Oh.
give up my ticket because I didn't care about the fine.
That's a bit of a low blow, man.
I sacrificed myself for the team
Yeah,
just to see if I'm the jinx after 7 losers on the
yeah.
trot.
That's how important you are. But but I mean, I think because of that one game, he might just have to make adjustments because it's just like I mean, it's just like anything, man. You said yesterday that Man City might have to look at prioritizing certain games. Therefore, he might not. Pep might not play certain players. Well, that's what this is. This
Yeah,
is
that's 2
it.
games in a week.
Yeah.
We haven't got 2 games in a week. And we've
But
got to
we got.
by the way, we've got to get used to playing 2 games a week.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But when you got a final coming up,
But
you
by
might
then,
have to
hopefully,
risk
we'll have a
those.
bigger squad anyway with players who don't drop the levels down critically, shall we say, when we bring them in.
Yeah. All right. Well, Roger says he got his ticket yesterday. Congrats. Congrats to everybody that got their tickets. Enjoy it and the fruit of your labors, not labor. And yeah, make sure you get there. Make sure you get there and bring it on, man. Bring it on. Oh, by the way, about the match on the final, it is confirmed. Obviously, 4:30, I believe, right? 4:30
Yeah.
p.m.
Kickoff, yeah.
That's kickoff. So that helps us already identify when and how early we're going to start because we're going to have a long coverage. Mighty Win is not going to the final, so he's going to have to be here working. We ain't got none of that funning around, going to the pub and getting drunk BS. We're gonna be here. We usually go an hour early. We we we're gonna have to go early on that one because we got a long coverage, man. This is a final. That's what I'm trying to get at. This is it, man. This is it. I just cannot contemplate us losing. Um, I don't. I just don't see it. I don't see it. We have a much better team than we did 2 years ago
Oh, absolutely.
by a
And
long shot.
that's what I put up on, a few weeks,
At the minute,
couple of
we
weeks
do.
ago. Well,
Yeah,
we do anyway. When you look at the team that we put out against Man U,
miles ahead, man.
we
But
are
there was
so
no
different.
Isaac there. That's the thing.
Oh, there was actually, but not this Isaac.
So,
Isaac Hayden.
Oh no, well I'm talking about Isak.
Isak.
Not that one. Hey, Mighty Wayne, you might want to reboot, man. People are saying you're cutting up and you're fuzzy.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's what I said. You're a bit pixelated today.
I
yeah,
thought
oh, there it is. Uh,
Dunno.
you thought of putting that. But anyways, so hit the like button, folks. Please do that. Help us out. Very important to do that. Charles says we go to Sweden to buy smokes, but that's because it's half price we pay in Norway. Yeah. Well, that's where he's
Absolutely.
going. I mean, it's like his breakfast, man. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He can't be without it. So Mercury 9 win is transmitted from 1992. Exactly. um, Alan McKenzie says City will have played 3 games in a week come next Tuesday, not 2. I mean, yeah, they do got a point. So they can do it now. I'm not saying let's do it now. I'm saying when it comes to 2 week within the final, 2 weeks. It's going to be interesting what we do, man. You know, because they're going to be thinking about that. Manager Eddie Howe is going to be thinking about that. Also, a big important thing that I read the other day that I didn't bring up on the shows was how to manage the excitement, and if we're going to do anything different. Obviously, getting to a final is not an achievement in itself, or it is, but it really isn't. So last time around, I mean, it was like 20 plus years since we've been to a final. So none of these players were there. None of these managers were there. Not the same owner. Nothing. Everything was new. So maybe Kieran Trippier had been to a final before. Maybe with Atletico Madrid. Maybe with Tottenham. Maybe. Not
No,
sure.
I don't recall him there with Tottenham.
Did he not? Did he not play with them when he went to? No, he wasn't there for the Champions League final, was he?
No.
So no, nobody really, and so it was certainly an excitement to be there, but this time around, it's not that. You
Well,
know that
I was saying to you the other day, it's like the Christmas decorations going up early, and they've already started. All of the shop windows are now getting done, and it's like the Christmas lights up in October.
right.
But hopefully everybody's learned their lessons.
Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's the case. Um, I'm trying to refresh here. What's going on? Stop being a twat.
Nothing yet.
But yeah, go on. Keep going. I gotta bring something real quick. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm just saying that last time it was, as you say, first time for 20 odd years, and everybody was getting the fever. uh, Hopefully this time we're going to be a bit more level-headed, and for once we can go to Wembley and perform as we are capable of performing, which
Yeah.
really, with a possible exception of the Chelsea semi-final, I've never seen.
I think
Every
the beauty of a final, as you saw against City and Man United last season, there is no favourites in a final. It's how you perform on the day, and I think, like I say, when you look at our build up 2 years ago to the final, Popey getting red carded and
Yep,
being unavailable, Dubravka obviously being cup tied, it was just, I think sometimes your path is laid for you,
the
and like I said,
gods are against you.
yeah, absolutely, and I think you know having a team as we did last year compared to where we are this year, I think it's going to be a different final altogether. Don't get me wrong, I do think we've probably got a bit stronger opposition as well this time round.
Yeah,
I don't think Liverpool and you can put Man United in the same bracket these days, but at the end of the day, I do think you've got to go out there and perform on the day. I don't think there's an out and out winner unless you go out there and show yourself.
yeah.
Looks like we
I
are
think
coming to
the one ace we, well, apart from Isaac, obviously,
yeah.
the one ace that we have up our sleeves now is Denali,
All right.
because I think he's a big game player.
Um,
But there,
We're on, Chris.
yeah, I'm trying to. For some reason, mine is not refreshing.
It's pretty low, Chris.
Yeah, yeah. I'm working on it. Let's see.
just saying that Dan Burn will almost certainly miss this weekend.
Hold on, give me just a second. We're gonna.
Gordon's okay. Have you got it yet?
No, I'm trying to work on it.
Reliable, dependable member of the squad had his own injury issue recently, but has come back, looks strong, and I think.
Gone.
You're muted, Chris. Can't hear it.
So an all-Premier League match, a team that beat you at St James's Park earlier in the season, despite a good performance. What did you think when you were paired with Brighton?
At home, I think that's all we can ask. I think it's a tough game, but I think when you get to sort of these rounds, invariably you're going to get that difficult opponent. But I think at home we really believe in ourselves. We believe in our capabilities. So again, another great cup tie for us to look forward to.
And after 2 cup matches, back to Premier League football, and the next 3 games are against teams that in the current standings are above you in the table. How do you view the importance and the difficulty of the next few weeks?
I think it's going to be a great few weeks for us in terms of trying to evaluate our strength, see where we are, how competitive we are in the league. I think we've been pretty solid all season in that respect. We've given every team good games, but this will be at a pivotal stage of the season, a really defining few weeks for us. Of course, we have the cup final then on the horizon beyond these games, but I think, pivotal part of the Premier League season for us.
And finally, did you watch Manchester City against Real Madrid the other night, and what did you think?
Yeah, of course I did. I thought it was a great game of football. I think you could see the quality of 2 teams. I thought Manchester City in that first half looked back to being very close to being their very best. I thought controlled the game for large periods. But of course, the quality of Real Madrid is very strong as well. But that's what makes the Champions League the competition that it is. But that's a great advert for football, and certainly, we know this is going to be a very difficult game.
Thanks, Reza. Keith?
Yeah. There we go.
Sorry about that, woke everyone up there. Eddie, from the outside looking in, what have you made of Manchester City over the last couple of months? I mean, 12 defeats, I think, of their last 24 games, unheard of for them beforehand.
Yeah, I don't think you necessarily look at it over that period of time. I think you have to look at it over a much longer period of time. I think they've been sensational and so consistent for so many seasons, which is so difficult to do at this level because the standard of the teams. And I think that's what we've seen, really, the standard of the Premier League congesting in its force. Really, every team is very difficult to play against. We found that recently in a couple of home games. If you drop by 1%, you can get beaten. Every game is very difficult. Nothing's given to you. I think it's been great for the Premier League that it's like that, because you never know what's going to happen when you go to a stadium now, any stadium. And I think it's producing a really entertaining Premier League this year. But Manchester City is still a very, very good team. I think statistically at home they've still been very strong. So for me, they're still the benchmark, and we have to try and produce our best performance to try and get something from this match.
You say there that they've been strong at home. Your team have been strong away from home recently. You've won the last 6 in a row, looking for 7. Has that been one of the most pleasing aspects of your recent run, the way you've gone to big clubs and come away with victories?
Yeah, certainly around Christmas time. As you say, those games against Manchester United, Tottenham were brilliant games for us, because we were consistent against really good teams, tough environments, came through that period really well. Yeah, I think the away form is so important. Of course, every phase of your performance is important, but to perform well away from home, I think gives you good characteristics, good solid foundations to build from, good character in the group. But it's going to be what we have coming up with Liverpool in the league, Manchester City in the league, a good test for where we are.
Do you think tomorrow that we will see two of Europe's best strikers, if not Europe's two outstanding strikers, coming up against each other in the shape of Isak and Haaland?
Yeah, certainly. I think when you look at Haaland's consistency over a long period of time, there's no doubting that, and Alex is certainly doing the same. Since he's come to this club, I think he's been absolutely sensational for us. So we're looking to try and get him in the game as much as we can. And I always say the same thing: we need to provide the foundation for him to perform at his best levels. Of course, there's Alex has to perform as well, but in these types of games, he's maybe not going to get loads of chances. But as always, a great advert for football, and certainly, we know this is going to be a very difficult game.
Thanks, Rosa. Keith?
Yeah. There we go.
Sorry about that, woke everyone up there. Eddie, from the outside looking in, what have you made of Manchester City over the last couple of months? I mean, 12 defeats, I think, of their last 24 games, unheard of for them beforehand.
Yeah, I don't think you necessarily look at it over that period of time. I think you have to look at it over a much longer period of time. I think they've been sensational but we have to put it away and we have to concentrate on the here and now. When you're playing Manchester City, as we are, if you've got your thoughts in your mind drifting to other games, that's going to be a big negative for us. That's not going to allow us to perform in the right way. So it's all energy and focus on this game, and then of course the following games, when the cup final comes around, we give it absolutely our full attention, obviously, and we try and prepare as well as we can. But also you don't want to take away the excitement and the positivity that the occasion will bring, and we want to use that to help our league form, not hinder it. So I think, yes, trying to learn from 2 years ago, but there's a lot to be positive about, and I think we need to keep those emotions, definitely.
Thanks, Keith. Andy?
Morning, Eddie. I'll only ask one about the Carabao Cup final. Tickets obviously came out this week. How many texts, how many phone calls have you had asking you for tickets so far?
Not too many, actually, so if you want to jump on. No, it goes with the territory. And I think Wembley needs to be bigger, really, from Newcastle's perspective. I'm probably sure of the same for Liverpool. So that will always be a talking point, and we want to see as many of our supporters there as possible.
Like Lee was saying before, Valentine's Day today, so after a week where two different performances, two excellent results against Arsenal and Birmingham in the Cup, what do you love most about this team, this squad right now?
I think right now, I think the fact that in the last two games, everyone's played a part in helping us get two great results. And I don't think it should be underestimated. The Birmingham game, we're coming out to fireworks in a dark stadium. We're conceding within a minute, and you're thinking this could be a really difficult afternoon for us. We've changed the team, and now is a big moment for the players on the pitch to respond and try and find a way to get through this cup tie. I thought they did that brilliantly. That was a tough game. A lot of the players hadn't played loads of minutes, so they showed their steel and drive and motivation to get through, and we've been rewarded with a home tie in the next round. So again, lots to be positive about internally with the squad, I think.
You talk about the players responding there. One in particular, Joe Willock. How is he now after what happened a couple of weeks ago, and how well has he responded, do you think?
I think Joe's fine. I think he responded really well in the respect that I think at the time he was very, very calm and very measured in his response. I don't think we saw a hugely emotive reaction to it, which I think is the best way to handle these things. I think he showed his maturity. He's been through a lot in his short career. Really talented lad. Really hope to see him on the pitch doing what he did best against Birmingham, which was score and look really good physically. He's had such a difficult time with injury. I really hope this is a turning point for Joe.
Just finally, I'm sure you don't need reminding, probably going to go there anyway, but Newcastle having the greatest record at Etihad Stadium, but the same was said about Newcastle's record at the Emirates, at Old Trafford, maybe even down at Spurs as well. What is it about this year and this Newcastle team that makes them good for ending these kind of hoodoos, I suppose, to use that phrase?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because a lot's made of history and records, and there's positives and negatives to take depending on how you look at things. I think this year we've just tried to play the game, not the record or the history. We've gone in with a really blank canvas in terms of our mental preparation. In respect, we haven't gone back. I don't think it's healthy too. We've tried just purely to look forward on what we can do and what we're capable of being. Really tried to be positive in our approach and let the players be free and play the game. So I do believe we have a very strong team.
Thanks, Eddie. I'll drop you a text later about the tickets.
No worries. Look forward to it.
Nisha?
Morning, Eddie. Man City had their game midweek. They've also been criticised this season perhaps for not having the same intensity, maybe not the legs that we're used to seeing there. Do you have to turn that to your advantage, not having that midweek game, and maximise the intensity to beat them?
I think we'll always do what we try to do to the best of our ability, which is a part of our game, of course. I will always say our running ability, our running power. We'll always try to maximise that. I think Manchester City are used to playing the number of games that they do. Their schedule is intense, but they've managed it historically so well, and that's where I said earlier, the consistency that they've managed over a number of years with the competitions that they're in, the expectations they play under, has been great to witness from afar. So I've got no doubt they'll be ready for the game. They've got a very good squad. They've made some good additions in January as well. I think they've gone youthful and brought some really good energy into the group. So I think just for us, it's, yes, we haven't had a game midweek, but we need to produce in all aspects of our play to be competitive in this game.
You've talked about this potentially season-defining run of games and the focus on these games as opposed to the League Cup final. Does having 3 such huge games with teams fighting for those Champions League places, does that almost make it easier to park the league final for now?
I think it leaves us with no choice because, as I said, if you go into these games distracted, you've got no chance. So almost it focused the players' minds, I'm sure, that we need to give everything to Manchester City, then we need to give everything to our next game and so on. And I think that's how it has to be for us. We're going through a spell where we have tough opposition, but this season, by and large, we've responded well to those games, and we need to do so again.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Damien, Lee Ryder, and then to Gary.
Eddie, we've talked a lot about Alex Isak and his impact in recent months, and rightly so, but how central has Sandro Tonali become to your team and the way you want to play and what you hope to achieve?
Yeah, I think Sandro's become a key figure in our midfield. Highlighted again, I think, last week against Birmingham. The plan was to rotate Bruno and Sandro's minutes to try and keep them fresh for what was ahead. But when he came on the pitch in the second half, he brought stability in our performance that in that moment I think we needed. I think it's well documented how good he is on the ball. He's very calm, composed, positive with his passing. Yeah, very good technically, but I just think that the off-the-ball work that he does, the transitional aspect of his play has been of the highest level, and he's really helped our midfield, I think, cope, especially in the games that we spoke about, the away games that we've performed well in due part. I think that's down to his off-the-ball work. His defensive mindset has been of the very highest level, and it's definitely helped the team.
And how have you seen him grow? How have you seen him grow in the time since he's come back into the team? And is tomorrow the perfect stage for him to demonstrate what he's learned during his time in England?
I think I said the same during his ban. He hasn't tended to change at all. His personality, his way about him has been very consistent, very level, very calm. But I think that's how he plays, and I think that's his personality, as I said, has helped the team. So I think the biggest change probably will be in his confidence levels, although it doesn't really show externally from him. I'm sure he'd be feeling good. He's playing well. He knows he's performing and helping the team. So I'm sure all those things he'll be feeling good about himself. I certainly think he's very popular in the dressing room as well. Like you can see his teammates really value him, which is a great feeling to have when you're playing.
Thanks, Damien. Lee?
Eddie, on Fabian Shaw, his contract situation, would we have normally heard something by now on a player that was close to it expiring?
I don't know. Not sure if there is a sort of a set thing. Everything's different for every player. I know there's been discussions taking place between Paul Mitchell and Fabian's representatives. So fingers crossed we find a solution and we get to a situation where everyone's happy and Fabian can extend his stay with us.
And how much of a key player is he going to be going forward? Because he's got all that experience now and he just deals with any situation you throw him in.
Yeah, I think you can see in recent games, I think he's been very good in different jobs that we've given him to do. I think he is a player that you can use in different ways, very, very flexible in a sense that his game suits the modern way. I think his technical ability goes without saying, but he's very, very good off the ball again. He's quite comfortable jumping into midfield to help us with our press. He's quite comfortable, obviously, staying in his position as well, but that sort of tactical understanding. I think he's elite with his brain in terms of seeing the game. That's what you get with experienced players in that area of the pitch. It's, him, Dan, and the other defenders we've had have done really well this year.
Just on Joe Linton, how's he getting on, and is there any doubt that he, could miss the Carabao Cup final?
No, we hope by that time he will be back fit and available. He's making good progress. Joe, when he approaches his injury recovery, is very positive, very driven to get back and to shave time off the estimated target that he's given, which is a great thing, but also we need to control that and make sure that he comes back in a really good place. But he's very positive at the moment.
Thanks, Lee. I've got to carry then Luke.
Hi, Eddie.
Hi.
We've seen some great rivalries throughout the years, like player-wise and a personal level. Probably Messi and Ronaldo is probably like the last big one. In terms of like goal scoring numbers, battling for golden boot, etc., could Alexander and Haaland be the Premier League's next big one?
Yeah, it's a left field one. I don't know. I think all I'd encourage Alex to do is to do what he does. I don't think you can compare him to anyone, really. I think Alex is very, very different to any other striker that I've seen or worked with. He does things that aren't sort of your traditional centre-forward, what they can do. He's very different. He's almost a winger combined into a striker's mentality, I think, because his feet and his footwork and his dribbling ability is so good. That's almost winger-like. And then you put him into the middle of the pitch, and he, obviously with his pace and his technical ability coming to feet, he's sort of got the whole package linked into one. And his finishing this season has been, exceptional as well. So I think he is himself. He's very unique, and I'd encourage him to be that way.
And just on Manchester City, does it feel like, given the sort of results and slump, so to speak, this season, does this feel like a chance for the likes of Newcastle to, swoop in and overtake these? Are you confident that it is just a blip and, Pep will turn it round for them?
Yeah, I'm not focused on Manchester City. Pep will do that, and I'll leave that to him. I think from our perspective, I think every season's an opportunity, every moment's an opportunity to make new ground, to keep momentum going from our perspective. I think we've had a really good run of results. We've done really well in the cup competitions. Now we need, if we can, a couple of results in the Premier League to get our Premier League form back to where we want it to be. But this is a tough period of games, so it's, as I said, in the Premier League, it's probably season defining in terms of where we're going to be in the next few weeks.
Thanks, Gary. Got to Luke, Chris, and then Louise. Luke.
Mike Razor asked you about Real Madrid playing Manchester City. Did you also watch their game against Leyton Orient? Just out of interest.
Yeah, I did, and I watch many games in the build-up to our next opposition playing, and I think it's important that you do get a feel for the team playing. I like to look at their recent games rather than going too far back, and I think the FA Cup tie was a brilliant example of the FA Cup doing its thing to two teams who are giving everything to try and progress. And I think that's been one of the great things of the FA Cup this year, that everyone's been taking it seriously and wanting to progress, us included. And we're excited for the next round.
Slightly self-indulgent question from me there. Can I just, Pep last year after the FA Cup game, did he say to you that's not normally how your teams play football? Can you remember it that far back? And are you looking forward to going there and being able to give them what you want your Newcastle United team to be? Can you remember that comment? I'm sure he said it.
You're sure he said it?
I'm sure he said it.
No, I don't think he did say that. So, no, I always think these discussions should be left between me and the person that I have them with, although it's nice of you to give your interpretation of it. I think it's always good to go there. It's a stadium that has been tough for us, been tough. Yeah, it's a tough place for, I think, any opponent to go in recent seasons. Their record there's been very strong, very consistent. But we look at it, as I said earlier, we look at every new game as an opportunity to maybe set new ground, and to, I think most importantly from our perspective, is to play in the way that we want to, and make sure that Manchester City know how good Newcastle are at the end of it.
It's a little bit scattergun. Alexander Isak, has he added a new dimension to his game this season, just in terms of being that 6-yard box player?
Yes, I'd say he has. Something we've tried to focus on with him. But following on from the answer I gave earlier, he has many qualities, and what sort of the winger comment that I made there, he played wide left for us a lot when he first arrived. So I do think he has the ability to play in different positions, and I think when you have those qualities, sometimes then you can find yourself out of the key areas, goal-scoring areas, sometimes just through the work that you've done previously. So it's been great to see him score those goals this year, and I can think of many now where he's in the 6-yard box and he's scoring what looked like simple goals and previously. So the final finish, great to see him. For him to end up in that position is the hallmark of a great striker, as Callum Wilson did last week against Birmingham. Those goals, as scruffy as they are, from my perspective and the player's perspective, are worth the weight in gold.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Chris?
Morning, Eddie. Just checking in on Harvey Barnes. How far away from being involved is he?
Yeah, not far. He's doing really well. We're really pleased with how he's looked. So yeah, he's another player that's close to being in contention.
And just, you mentioned a lot of teams have gone the Eddie had over the last few years and comfortably being beaten. And as you said, Newcastle struggled there over the years. Your record there, it isn't brilliant.
It's an understatement. Thanks, Chris.
You've spoken about wanting to play your way into sort of impose yourself upon them. In the past, do you think that you maybe haven't done that enough, or have you tried to do that, and do you actually have to change slightly when you do go there? How do you view, I suppose, what you've learned from going there in the past?
I think we've tried everything. I think certainly when we first went there, my first experiences were, some of the most difficult I've had in football. I remember one time, I think, looked at the clock, I think it was 9 minutes gone. I could be wrong here, someone will probably tell me I am, and we were 3-0 down. This was at Bournemouth, and I was like, oh my, this is going to be a long day. So I think, we've tried everything. As I said, we've tried being not cautious, but focusing on the defensive side first. Then we've gone, right, let's go the other. And at the end of the day, Manchester City have been that strong for that long that I think we ended up learning a lot from those games, even though there were difficult days and some defeats in there that stung badly. I do think you grow from those experiences, and so I think we've tried to look at it that way. And yes, once the dust settles down, go, right, how can we learn from this game? How can we change our approach in the future? How can we, not just talking about playing Manchester City, how can we actually then be stronger in the Premier League for these experiences? We're playing against the best club team in the world for the last however many years. So it is, look at it that way, a brilliant learning opportunity. That's what we've tried to do, and we've tried to get closer to them every time we've played them. Sometimes we have got closer, and then it feels like you fall away again. But that's our dream, is to get closer and to eventually try and win.
Okay, just over 5 minutes left. We'll get through as many as we can. We'll go to Louise, Scott, and then Dom.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
In a wider context, do you think that in the era of tactical disruptors like your friend Andoni at Bournemouth and indeed yourself, do you think that positional play, the great Pep era, is coming to an end? And has it, for all his brilliance, become too much like painting by numbers in certain instances? Hence, someone like Jack Grealish being sort of having his creativity curbed.
Sorry. That's okay. Interesting question. Again, it would probably need a long time to answer. I don't think positional play is dead, but I do think the game is always evolving and changing. So I think the question you've asked is a valid one, and it's an interesting one. Tactical disruptors, I've not heard that phrase used, so that's an interesting one. But I think, yeah, as I said, the game is evolving all the time. So from where you look at the game, Premier League probably 3-4 years ago, and you would see probably more positional play than maybe you do now, although I say that there's a few teams that clearly have their way and they don't really change. But I think they're always in a position in the Premier League where teams are changing their approach based on their success or failure of their results, and we would be no different to anybody else. We're looking to adapt to find a consistent winning formula. It doesn't really exist. You have to keep changing and keep evolving. That's certainly how I see the game anyway.
And all managers are kind of control freaks to varying degrees, even including you perhaps. But in training, how hard is it to get the balance between control and your tactical blueprints, which are obviously vital, and allowing players to improvise and think for themselves? I mean, how fine is that balance?
It is. I think it's a fine line, because I think if you've got creative players and expressive players, you don't want to take that feeling away from them that they can play the game that they see. On the other hand, if you have all the players doing what they want to do, you're going to lack cohesion, and you're going to lack that structure that I think, again, every good team needs. So it's a really fine line, and I try to get that right with the players that we have. A structure, but within that structure, a lot of freedom for them to showcase their individual skills. But I do think if you go too far one way, it's a negative. So, yeah, again, we're consistently trying to find the right way to work with our players.
Thank you.
Scott.
Hi, Eddie. You talk about this spell potentially being season-defining. I mean, Newcastle have had some good moments this season, but they have had sticky spell. And you know, there could have been a scenario where if Man City, Chelsea, Spurs, Man United had maybe been at the levels they would have wanted to be, you would have been out of the kind of top 5 equation now. You're not, you're very much in it. So has that opened a real kind of window of opportunity for you that maybe might not have been there in other scenarios?
Yeah, I think you've asked that question in an interesting way, because we feel that we've potentially left points on the table. You know, we're disappointed with ourselves in some ways, and kicking ourselves in some games looking back. I'm sure every team does it. Yeah. Every team in the world will do it at the end of the season. You go, if only we had, and you'll count the points up and think you could have added another 10 to 15 points on. The reality is football doesn't work that way, and you get what you deserve. So we are where we are currently, and we're looking for more, and we're looking for a continued consistent run of results. We know we need to go to the type of games that we're going into Saturday competitively and trying to win them, and then the following games to try and do the same, to try and elevate our position to where we ideally want to be. But every team will be telling you the same.
Okay, Dominic.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Positive news about Dan Burn, his injury. He's a player the likes of Bruno, Anthony Gordon have named as arguably Newcastle's player of the season. What do you make of that assessment?
Always a tough one. But I would agree with their assessment in the sense that Dan, I think, has had an outstanding season. I think whenever you're in my shoes and you're looking for reliability, you're looking for consistency, you're looking for people that are always there when you need them in the difficult moments, not just the good times. And I think Dan's had all those qualities. His training performances every day mirror how he's played on a match day, which again is another key thing for me. I'm looking for that attitude in training to drive standards, to drive the culture. He's certainly one of those players, and That's why if he were to be missing for a period of time, that would be a hammer blow for us. So fingers crossed that won't be the case.
Thanks, Dom. Sorry, Dom. Can we go Craig, Kieran, and then Martin to finish? Thank you.
The fourth official's got his board up, so I'll just ask one question, a quick one. It's a direct one. Would you rather have Erling Haaland or Alexander Isak?
That sounds like you, Craig, to ask such a direct question. No, I think, and I'm sure Pep would give the same answer. I love working with Alex, and I said many times I wouldn't swap him for anybody. I think he's got, we've got a good relationship. He's got a good relationship with his teammates. We've tried to help him with mould our style of play to suit his game. So, no, I really respect Erling, obviously, and what he's done in his career is unbelievable. But we really love Alex as well.
Thanks, Craig.
Good morning. There's been some needle from other clubs since the takeover, but with Manchester City, it's felt a bit different that they've been in your position before. Guardiola's always spoke really highly of the club. It seems the two boardrooms get on. Have you felt that difference from them compared to some of the other big hitters?
Maybe off the pitch, certainly on the pitch, no, because I know Pep wants to win. We want to win, so we're very competitive and we go against them like we would any other team. I'm not part of the boardroom relationship, so I don't get to see that or experience that. Certainly a club we respect a lot and really admire how they've gone from, I was playing them against them in League One not so long ago. So really admire what they've done with the football club and how they've managed to do what they've done in recent seasons. As I said, it's been incredible to watch.
And with the current PSR rules staying in place, I'm sure you've seen, what will it take to one day close that gap, I guess?
From a PSR perspective, usual stuff from me, stadium, income, sponsorship, all the stuff that we need to increase our revenue. It doesn't change. All these things we need to grow.
Martin to finish, please.
Morning, Eddie. How much more is there to come from Alex?
Yeah, I think there's a lot more to come. I think, again, another traditional standard answer from me for every player, as well as some individuals may be playing. I would say there's still so much more each player can give and has to give to the team in loads of different ways. It might be, for Alex, it might be a different area to another player, but every player can give more and do more and has to have a really open mind to improving. I think that's absolutely vital for their own individual development. There's so many different areas and aspects of the game that you can take your game now with the analysis that we have available at our fingertips. And certainly our job, my job, coaching team's job is to try and push Alex now to do even better.
And last one, how important is he to the long-term success of the club?
Yeah, linked to a number of other players, really. I think we have to try and keep our best players. I think that's crucial to, of course, our short-term success and our long-term success. So sitting here as the manager of the football club, I'd be saying that we need to keep the group together and we need to add the other way. We haven't added in a long time. Various transfer windows, of course, for the reasons we've all discussed. But we need to move the team forward and we can't lose our best players doing it.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
All right. Thanks very much, Mr. Edward James Howe. Man, some of these questions are crazy, man. We do this every week. Asking them, it's a question to get on the good side of fans, that question about Isak and Haaland. And what's he going to say? Of course he's going to say Isak. He's going to get some fans to say, oh, he picked Isak over Haaland. Stupid question, man. Wasted question. But we did get some good updates, though, on as far as injuries is concerned. By the way, if you're just joining us, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to Eddie Howe's presser. It looks like a lot of you just rather just listen to it with perfect audio than watch it with rubbish audio. So, yeah. And by the way, we're going to update the highlights of his presser as a video in just shortly an hour from now. So you'll be able to enjoy that anyway. But, well, what do you guys think? Interesting presser, to say the least.
I think, look, the one thing that's come out of it is we know it'll be Dan Burn instead of Botman in the field. It still feels as though Botman's still got some pain in that knee. So, and Burn, obviously, he's and same as Gordon. Gordon's been training without any issues. So he's highlighted the fact that there is definitely going to be a starter with Gordon by the looks of that. Uh, but you're absolutely right. You know, for me, you've got maximum of 2 or 3 questions. Some of the questions just don't make any sense whatsoever. You know, and I just think it. You know, I don't know what they expect Eddie to say. And you know, how can Eddie talk about Pep Guardiola's bubbles burst type of thing?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You just don't do that, especially you know to the world, you know, the watching type of thing these days, because it just brings you in disrepute. So the last thing Eddie would want to do is obviously put his name into anything like that where he's going against other managers. He's just not that type of person, and I can't understand why Louise wants to ask that in the first place. What's Man City's issues got to do with Newcastle United going forward?
Yeah, I certainly agree. Eddie Howe's Black and White Army, mighty win. So, what do you got to say for yourself, man? What's your assessment of the presser? You're muted, man. Fucking hell. All right.
It's becoming the norm, isn't it, these pressers? I mean, they've got a week to prepare for a presser, and they can't come up with any better questions that they're going to get decent answers from than what they're coming up with. Especially when they know the kind of guy that Eddie is, and he's just going to batter the questions to either side, unless you can get someone that he has to give an answer to. So why do they not do better preparation and think, what we're going to do? I would have liked to have heard, for example, like, again, probably not that he's going to tell you anyway, but you would have got something out of him if you'd said, have you had any thoughts about attacking this game the way we did against Arsenal?
That would have been a good question, yeah.
Because that's what I would like to see on Saturday. Now, whether it ends up we've got the personnel to do that, and I don't know, but then you might have to make a statement to that effect. But I mean, they're just platitudes, aren't they?
Well, I was let down by Craig Hope's question. I thought Craig Hope's usually one of the ones that are good, but then he just
Use alcohol and take your pick.
And then 2 questions later is how much same thing about Isak that what is he gonna say, man? He's not gonna say anything. Is he gonna say Haaland? Yeah, Isak is good, but I'll take Haaland. Like what? Come on, man. It just makes no sense. 2-corner phrase: don't transfer your ticket. Oh, don't transfer no ticket. Come on, man. Roger, you transfer your ticket? What's wrong with you? You better go out there, man. Tenji says lazy journalism. That's why. We should do a press conference. Bingo, says Alan Mawson.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? We did get some injury updates though, so that's good. He was doubtful on or not doubtful on Botman. I mean, I didn't think Botman
said there's been good news on the scan for Sven after his injury, and it's not long term. He'll miss this weekend, but hopefully he won't miss games in the next few weeks.
It's kind of worrisome though, man, that we're taking it lightly that Botman is going down injured again, and it's no big deal. He'll be back next week. But
well, it's the opposite need to what he had done, of course.
Yeah. Oh, of course. If not, he'll be out longer. But so I guess we'll have to see. But hopefully he stops getting injured over and over because I think he can be really good. Now on Dan Burn, what was his response?
For Dan, initially it did not look positive, but he's had a scan and it looks good. He's very close for this weekend.
So it looks like Burn will play.
Or as I said last night, Crafts and Share.
Or Craft and Share, yeah.
And
Stevens
again,
is
that wouldn't bother
yeah, but
me unduly.
well, and now you're having if Kraft usually plays on the right, it's the right
Yeah,
center
well,
back.
Share would go on the left as he has done in the
Yeah.
past.
Stevens says, I told you Heffernan trained all week. I don't think any young player will get any chance, even if we got
He may get onto the
9
bench
players.
because we are really light on the bench, especially if the likes of Botman isn't fit enough. If he's, for me, and I keep saying this, if you've got any doubts regarding a player, then he shouldn't even get on the bench. I think you get to that point where sometimes, as much as Eddie Howe obviously doesn't trust the youth that much, and he likes to protect them a little bit, you've just got to play. You've just got to play devil's advocate sometimes, and you've got to push it.
I think this is an oft-used misinterpretation when everybody it just comes out parrot-wise that Eddie doesn't trust the youth.
He doesn't, though, man. This is
Eddie. Well, Eddie just wants to make sure.
Well, so he doesn't trust. If you want to make sure,
he wants to make sure that when they hit the first team, they're ready for it.
Because he doesn't trust
And
them.
there's nothing the matter
Okay,
with that.
then let me just throw one back at you, though. When's ready?
Exactly.
Well, when he reckons it is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So he doesn't trust them then. Because
he doesn't trust them. Exactly.
I watch a lot of junior football in the academy side, and there's a lot of talented players in that midfield that never even get a look in. Never get a look in. Now, Alba, he's been absolutely outstanding. He's only 15 years old, and I can see him stepping up to the mark. The problem is, we all hear that, and a lot of people, and I've said it for a long time now, it doesn't matter whether these kids are training with the first team. All they're doing is tactical awareness. The chances of them actually being involved in the game is little to none. And I think, it's a case of Eddie likes to build these kids up. And we've said, Miley seems to be a little bit backward rather than going forward now because of the delay in him coming back into the team since his injury. And every time that kid goes a game without playing, that delay is just going to keep going backwards. He's not going to be moving forwards. And again, when we look at it, we looked at him against Birmingham. The kid was off the pace. They were into him. They didn't give him time to settle on the ball. He's never going to get that unless he's allowed minutes.
Yeah. And he should be getting a lot of minutes now, actually, because he should be one of, if not the first sub to come in. If and when we become elite and we bring in really top defenders, top midfielders, then you can say, well, what are you going to do? Like Lewis Miley, probably couldn't get much of a game on that good Man City side because you got Gundogan, you got De Bruyne, and you got all the, but so you could excuse that.
That's
then
the same with Newcastle. You've
no.
You've got Tonali,
yeah, but you're missing the
Bruno.
point. You're missing the point. He wouldn't Lewis Miley on that good Man City side wouldn't get a lot of minutes.
No.
But on this team, he surely should get more minutes because should be the first option to come in on the pitch.
Yeah.
Should be. Not to start.
To be fair, I still put him in front of Willock. I know
Yeah.
Willock gives you an extra, but what Willock doesn't do, especially in the middle of the park, is retain the ball enough for me. He's great going forward, but when you're up against Man City, who are predominantly ball carriers and have got that skill within them, what I want in there is somebody that's comfortable on the ball as well. So we can retain the ball. What we can't afford to do against Man City is give them the ball back too much. And I just find that there's too many players within our squad that give the ball away far too easy for me.
Well, that's going to be one of the tactical things, and they can't really let Man City play because that's their bread and butter. You give them the ball, and that's going to be key. So we need to keep that away from them. How many times really have we done that, though? That's the thing. How many times can really we keep the ball away from City? That's really tough to do.
Don't get me wrong. Arteta's been thrown in the mire a little bit with injuries, and we had the same last year with Miley. He was thrown into the deep end. But you look at Nweri for Arsenal. 15 and 4, whatever days, how many days he is from his 16th birthday. He's in there. He's having a go because Arteta's hands are tied. But the kid is good enough to actually go and get minutes. And that's what I said. I think Eddie Howe has got to take this little blindfold off and say, if the kids are producing, some of these 15-year-olds now are playing at under 21s level consistently and doing well.
And that goes to my issue of we got to be proactive in how we make the team a better team. We can't buy players. We can't buy top players. We can't buy top players. So then you're gonna have to be open-minded to other options, and that is one option that I don't think Eddie at the moment is open-minded about. The young players, that he might have to take a higher risk because we don't have the capabilities of buying other players from other teams, top players. And I've said the same thing. Another thing that he's not open-minded about: the free agents, the loans, the possible loans. He's not. There's multiple options that he can get players from to gamble on, basically. But if you can't buy the players you want, you're going to have to gamble on players that you maybe wouldn't buy or might be interested in, but you wouldn't buy on a normal day if you were able to spend money. But I feel like that's the issue right now that takes us to the transfer window, to why we don't make any signings, not even on loan, not even the young players get time. So it's a big, it's kind of warm right there. But I think all of the protagonists have something to do with it. Eddie Howe, Paul Mitchell, and above. Everybody's got their little input as to why we are not signing players, or we don't have new players or new faces in the team. Kevin Bell says, go on, sorry.
I'm quite happy.
Yeah, of course you are.
Eddie use the players that he trusts.
Yeah. You can't only trust 11 players, man.
In good stead so far. This whole
Here's the thing, man.
Tactic, or whatever you want to call it, that Eddie employs about putting the players in when they are ready and not before.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah,
we good stead up to now, and
we can't have. But you're the main one
as far
saying,
as loan players are concerned.
You're the main one saying that he's been left out to dry because we haven't signed him any players. Well, he's also not open-minded to make ends meet. When you ain't got no money, you got to make ends meet, and he has to be open-minded in that. He can't be saying get he or nothing. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
So that's just one example.
I don't believe he did say Gay.
Okay, but that's just one.
As far as the centre back was concerned, you might have done.
Because, by the way, one midfield, like right now, Tonali goes off injured, which he doesn't. He's made of steel, but say he does. Who comes in?
Well,
you have to put
comes in.
Yeah, you will have to put Miley in, and now you're gonna have to gamble on it without giving time. But now, say Miley comes in, who else? Who else? Willock, okay, and then who else? Who else? Longstaff. Now you start seeing the quality of what you really have.
Yeah, well, because you're talking about putting three in.
What about a right wing? Murphy goes down, and what happens? You got to put Osula in. That's your options. We have a really good starting 11, but we don't have a really good squad.
Well,
that
we know
is the
that,
problem.
and that's because he has
well,
to be
and
back
that's
to
why
the transfer market.
I understand that, but that's why Eddie and Paul Mitchell, they need to work towards being open-minded, negotiating, and say, all right, give me this lad over here, and we'll see what happens. But that doesn't really happen, does it? We're signing young players from Ireland.
I'm not a fan of loan deals at all. To me, if they're being sent out on loan, it's because they're not good enough where they are.
But we can't go out there and buy the good enough players, the ones that are made. We can't go out there. Apparently we can't. Apparently we can't go out there and buy a Kubo. Apparently we can't just say and buy. You know what? I want Mbuemo. Apparently we can't because we haven't. So that's the point I'm getting at. You know, if Eddie Howe mentions PSR, we need he said it today. We need a new stadium. We need things to bring us revenue. Well, that's not going to be overnight. You know, so.
I mean, you've got to look at it for what it is. I mean, they voted yesterday. PSR is going to stay with us now for another season.
Well, yeah,
instead
it's a
of
shame, by the way.
The squad cost, which is what was originally planned. Everybody voted again, and again, this is for me. the other 14, if you like, holding the reins down on Newcastle progressing, because they know, you know, with all the finances that are out there, and it's very limited at the minute, with the amount of money that we've got in the coffers and everything else. I think all these other teams now, we could probably go into the market come the summer and really start to push towards the top 4, if not the top 2, come next season, if we're allowed to spend. And I think it's just a stranglehold again on us moving forward. And what you've got to think of,
And isn't it
guys, with
ironic
this-
that Man United are allegedly one of the clubs voting against it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and now they got big PSR problems at the moment.
But you know what gets me, you know, the one thing that worries me about this, instead of the team getting stronger, right, the team stays the same, and we're reliant on younger players within the squad. Worry for me is every season that goes by, it's a closer for one of our elite players to go because the contract goes shorter and shorter. And that means that the price drops, because if you've only got like 12 to 18 months, then you'll become, you know, either a person who will need to be gone to get the money in if he's not willing to sign the contract. And that's the worry for me. It's not about them holding the PSR thing. It's a case of, while we're being held back, we're not allowed to grow as a club, and eventually some of these big names will have to go for us to move. Because we're just getting
But
out to the end of the contract.
conversely, by having such a small squad, the youngsters will get more of a chance to grow. So that by the time they have to be thrown into the team, they will be absolutely ready.
Yeah,
but that's as opposed to throwing them in raw now, and potentially, you know,
you're gonna have to throw them in at some point, man.
Somebody brought it up in the chat. Zuckernoff, who we were after, and he had a nightmare when they put him straight on against for Man City.
But wouldn't you expect that? Wouldn't you expect him to have a nightmare?
No.
No, you would expect anybody to just come in and play.
I believe if that was Eddie, he'd make sure that before he was put in.
But it's not. But
as he did with Bruno, as he did with Tonali.
But in your eyes, Tonali. Don't mention Tonali, please, man. You're gonna lose that battle. But he had a bad game. So what? So that's it. He you know, we got to sell him now because he's rubbish. No, what are we talking about, man?
But that's points lost.
Man, come on, man. Look, one thing that's positive is if we make it to Europe, then that's going to be the priority, where you put the main players in the cups might take might take a step back, and those might be the competitions where we bring in these players to perform. So that could be something for next season. Right now, obviously the Carabao Cup final is no choice, and the FA Cup maybe. I mean, we're doing it as long as we get. I don't know, Brighton now. We can't play our you know, everybody, all substitutes against Brighton. We're gonna have to bring our A game on that one, A team, rather said. So, you know, that's that. Let's go some comments here though. People are saying some things. Jordy Dan says Eddie would not have made that mistake. Exactly when. Gabby Fuller says PIF needs to be more creative. If Salah leaves for Saudi in the summer, they need to talk him into coming to NUFC for a year. We will give him extra wages in Saudi. Well, you know, you laugh, but I mean, obviously he won't. I think he's too much of a legend in Liverpool. You don't know what people will say unless you go out there and ask. So unless you go out there and ask, the worst thing they can say is no.
So you're seriously saying PIF are going to buy Salah and pay all his wages, and then lend them to us for a year? Yeah, of course.
I don't think that's what Gavin is saying though. That's not what Gavin is saying. He says talk them out of it. Talk them out of going to Saudi and staying going to Newcastle. I don't think that's going to happen simply because I think Salah is a Liverpool legend and he's not really going to go to another club. He doesn't have to really. So I think it'll be more about going to the Middle East where he
with
is
Salah, it's dead simple. It's about getting the money he wants.
Yeah, but the foundation is the same though. You can go out there and find a player like that.
You cannot. Why they're not just paying his wages, I've got no idea. Because to replace him, you're going to be talking 150 million.
Well, I'm sure Liverpool is looking at moving on to a new era. I guess that could be a thing as well. So, but anyways, Tangi, sell Joe Linton to Saudi for 100 million and make media cry. Well, with that right there, PIF, by the way, are very, very safe and careful in what they do. They're not really, they haven't really done, nor was it ever close to, doing something like that. Like, they've never really, done anything like that.
Good few ridiculously priced players.
From us.
Not from us, no.
So what are you
From
talking about?
everybody else.
Exactly. So what are you talking about? They never done that with us. To say they can help us out, they will help us out. They don't.
Being very careful with us.
They have never helped us out. PIF has never helped us out yet, other than buying the club. I mean, but as far as transfer is concerned, they have not helped us out at all. And so, do they have to? Don't know, but I guess they would like to see the best interest of Newcastle. I would assume, maybe, but they haven't. So. Davy John Cook says Salah overall package at Liverpool is 900K per week. With
I'd like to know where you got that from.
That's a lot of money. I don't know. I think he's on 400K though. No, I think it's
380.
380 something. I think is what I read. 380 something. Yeah, he is 380 something.
He's looking
somewhere
for
around that
400.
range. Kevin Bale, never going to happen. The Premier League will be all over our ass if we do that. Nathan, there's no player close to the same level of Salah. Pay him. I agree with you, but I don't think. I mean, listen. My point is, you go out there and ask and try to get the deal done. If he says no, I'm not interested in Newcastle, then you go about our business. But you'll never know what he's going to say unless you ask. But at some point we're going to have to break that point from going from mid-table players to elite players. And I'm not saying that we don't have elite players. I think Tonali is the best midfielder in the world at the time. One of at least. Certainly in the Premier League. But Isak is the best in the Premier League, one of the best in Europe. But, and then, Bruno's good. But what about after that? It makes you think about.
400 grand a week with bonuses.
Yeah. So, Nathan, they will want Salah in Saudi ahead of the hosting the World Cup. Drives eyes to the domestic league. Yeah, I agree. But I think he wants to go to the Middle East anyway. And live like a king.
Live like Roy.
Yeah, certainly. So, David says not helped us out. They spent 0.5 billion. What? The fuck is 0.5?
Half a billion since it's not quite that much, but near enough.
Since the takeover, yeah, on what infrastructure, which is fair enough. So they got the club.
The first 3 years.
Yeah.
420
By the way,
million.
Newcastle spent that. PIF didn't spend that because PIF can't spend. They cannot spend.
But
than
PIF could spend then.
Newcastle could spend because of before we used to buy nobody, so we had money to spend based on that.
But we went into the full 35 mil a season.
My
point. We had up our sleeve.
My point was that these deals that we thought Saudi Arabia can make with us to help us out in a legal way are not going to happen, are not happening. They happen with everybody else in the world except us. Because I think PIF are too, I'm not going to say scared, but, very, they think about it 20 times before they do that with us. And by the way, that goes with the Man City sponsorship thing as well. PIF and Newcastle United have been just watching everything happen. Nothing. It definitely affects us the way the sponsor. Actually, it directly affects us because they name us, because they change a rule because of us. So PIF, you can say PIF, or not PIF, we can say PIF, but Newcastle should go out there and they could throw a lawsuit against the Premier League, but they haven't done that, right? They've let Man City do it all the work. And you can say that's a strategy, but at some point, who needs it more? We or Man City? Yeah. So, but anyways, quiet old man. I love it when you're quiet, man. You have no comeback.
Well,
because you think I'm right though. Because you think I'm right.
I don't think I'm right at all. I don't
So
think you know what
so
you're talking about.
no. So what am? So go in and tell me then, smart guy. What am not? What am I not talking? That's making sense. This PIF, Newcastle United, suing the Premier League.
Not yet, they're not.
So I'm right then. They haven't. They've watched Man City do all the work. Yes or no?
You don't know what's gone on.
They have watched Man
you-
City do all the work. Yes or no?
And you don't know what's gone on behind the scenes.
Well, you don't either.
Such that Man City are doing the heavy lifting.
So, but they have
Saudi
sat in the back
Arabia
and
are the
watched it,
big brother over there, and if they've turned round to
and
UAE
they have done
and
now,
said,
and they have done now,
get them taken
and
to
they
court
have
on our
done,
behalf, mate.
and they have done nothing. Oh the United Emirates are just sitting back and we're gonna do all the work for you, Saudi Arabia. No worries about it.
Correct.
You think that's what they're doing? Okay, yeah, they're doing what they're doing, man. They're their own entity. They don't care about Saudi. They don't care about Newcastle United. Manchester City are not our friends. You know what I mean? It just happens that we might fight for the same cause, but they don't really care about nobody else other than themselves, as they should be. I guess you can say.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
It's gonna get to a point where Newcastle United is gonna have to do things for themselves.
Yeah, well,
So
no doubt that will come eventually.
okay then.
but
So
right
don't say that I'm wrong when I'm right. I clearly said Newcastle United have not done it.
You don't know.
I said Newcastle have not done anything, and that's right.
Well, you
Now
don't know that they haven't done anything.
What are you talking about, man? Have we sued the Premier League? What are you talking about?
No, we got.
So what are you talking about then?
We got Man City to do it on our behalf.
Okay, yeah, all right, sounds good then. If that's what you think, perfect, no big deal. Man City are just do whatever Newcastle wants. You got my thumbs up on that. Maybe you need a cigarette.
No,
man.
the
You need to go get
UAE will
cigarettes.
do whatever Saudi wants.
Okay, sounds good, man. I think you need a cigarette too. Yeah, it's a good time for you to go to Ireland and go get some cigarettes, man, because you're not yourself with that one. Joe Robinson, Premier League clubs can't start legal proceedings against the league as per rule book. Man City doing it because they have charges against them. We don't. Well,
The last lawsuit.
I don't understand how that's legal anyway. So you can the Premier League can do whatever.
Hang on. You know, that's just wrong anyway, because
I don't understand.
the last lawsuit that Man City brought, all to do with PSR and associated party transactions, had nothing to do with that 115 charges. Completely separate from the 115 charges. Nothing to do with it. It was all to do with associated party transactions.
And they've been able to do the Etihad
And they've
re-sponsor
done exactly what they set out to
exactly
do.
what they were going to do. Yeah.
Mhm.
And they've now got a new
And those
sponsor.
115 charges are still waiting.
David says us not taking action may be conditional link for authorizing the takeover. What? Is that what I'm? Am I reading what I'm reading?
I think you are, because I'm reading it the same way, I think. No.
Like what? So we are just the Premier League says I'm gonna let you take over Newcastle, but you're just you don't have a say. You can never come back at us for anything. You can never. I don't know about that, man. Why would
Me neither.
that is? I think they let it go because we spent over $1 billion trying to pay them back for the dodgy for Mighty Wind's dodgy
For the dodgy
streams.
streams, man.
But it's look, man. This could be a big long discussion. The press conference was only good to update us on injuries. Everything else is just about it's just about.
And even then, we didn't get any definitive injury news. Harvey's not far away. Harvey Barnes has done really well, and we're pleased with how he's looked. He's another player that's close to being.
Oh yeah, they finally got to that question after the chat was asking for that question, and they at the end got it. So what did he say he was on? What was his goal?
He reckons 2 games time for Barnes, I think is what
Barnes,
he said.
yeah, that's what they said. 2 weeks.
Damn, man. See, right now injuries are starting to creep up.
But what he did say was that even though he's not paying any attention to Wembley right now, he's hopeful that by the time Wembley comes around, we will have a virtual full squad to choose from.
Yeah. I mean, there's even. I mean, I read yesterday evening, which was very tongue in cheek, and it was only like one sentence. They're even predicting Lascelles being back in time for the final and to be part of the squad, which I find, really strange. That even to be contemplated within the squad for the final. Because
Well,
he's not obviously
except
playing.
that if you remember going back to September, or was it October maybe, when he got injured?
Well, they said March, didn't they?
Well, no, they said January and February then for both him and Botman, and then January became fit. And
Yeah. I think Botman was always going to be the one that won because of the different procedure. Same operation type of thing, but different procedure. And Botman's was always going to be because he's obviously a lot older. So they have to take the time with him to make sure that the tissue is repaired fully. Because, when you say a lot older, I mean, what is he, 32?
Lascelles.
Lascelles?
Yeah,
31,
that was,
32?
I think he might be 34 or something.
Might be older than that, I think.
Maybe.
So that's the reasons why they're taking a little bit more of a delay with him.
Well, you better hurry up, man, because it looks like we might need him, man. We might need him certainly. All right. Well, listen, it's been a good press conference, and
it hasn't.
You're gonna say?
Well, I mean, for us to talk about it and stuff, it really hasn't. We're gonna upload Eddie Howe's full video conference in a minute, so actually highlights without the rubbish questions, and so stay tuned for that one. Tonight we don't have a quiz. Mighty Win is gone, so he's finding around somewhere in Ireland to go buy cigarettes, smuggling cigarettes illegally.
32 in November, Lascelles.
Change the subject. He's going to be smuggling cigarettes illegally to the UK. So if you talk to the authorities about that guy. Anyways, it's been lovely.
Perfectly legal.
It's been lovely. Thank you to everybody that's gotten involved in the chat. It's good to have a good banter and discussion of all things Newcastle United. This is the place for it. We're updating the website as well. It's going to look really good. So check it out, NUFCtalk.tv. And so tomorrow we got live match an hour before kickoff. Join us. Have a good time. And we got more videos coming up later on. So stay tuned for it. And all things Newcastle United. NUFC Talk TV. Gary, thank you, Mighty Win. Hey, Mighty Win, we won't see him at all. We won't see him at all until when did you get back?
He come
Sunday
back
morning.
Sunday night, don't you? Oh,
Sunday morning. So you might what time? Like 8 in the morning?
Well, in time to get to the club for 11.
Well, you're gonna have to be here. That's the thing. But we're gonna do. Well, you missed the reaction. You missed the review.
I'm gonna try and get on the live tomorrow from Belfast.
Yeah.
He's gonna look for somewhere with a decent network.
Somewhere with a decent Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You
you taking orders? Are you taking orders for the wacky?
No.
The backy?
No.
He's smuggling illegally, man.
200 for my own personal use.
Yeah, 200, man. Oh man, what the hell? The only person in the world that would travel to another country to get cigarettes. That's crazy, man. Say no, kids. Say no.
Just
no. Just say no. It's much easier, man. See you guys. We'll win tomorrow, says Dean Young and everybody else. So I'm worried where Win is hiding these boxes, Jordy Dan. Yeah, I'm telling you. Anyways, thank you, folks. How are the lads? See you later. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.